I just want to set the world on fire.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Nuke for Prayers and this is Fallout 4 Weapon Crafting with Mods. Today we just have some random designs. Some of these are viewer suggestions, some of them are just whatever mods can give me, and some of them are just random ideas of my own. So I'm going to get on with the video, and I hope you enjoy. The first weapon today is the Drum Mag Double Barrel Shotgun. This has been a request from multiple people, and because of the extended weapon mods it is actually possible to do it. All I did was use the automatic receiver from that mod, and then the rest of the weapon is plain old double barrel shotgun. Other than the fact that this weapon has a massive amount of recoil, it is actually not that bad. The next weapon is the Lewis. The Lewis is based off of the Lewis gun, which has a drum magazine sitting on top of the rifle instead of plugging in underneath or in the side. This weapon is quite difficult to make as it requires the laser, and I used the 308 rifle receiver to remove the laser projectile and use 308 ammo instead. Sadly, this weapon is riddled with bugs and it does not work in first person. Also, if the VATS camera ends up in first person, it will not work there either. However, it works in third person just fine. Due to the barrel that I used from the Extended Weapon Mods mod, I kinda wish that this game had a go in prone mod, in order to lie down to shoot this weapon in the way that it is meant to be shot. The next weapon is the Lewis laser. The Lewis laser was inspired by the previous weapon, as well as the request to make an LMG laser. This weapon was the final result. The idea is that it is much more bulky and much more powerful than the previous weapon I made. The next weapon is the tactical SMG. I cannot claim responsibility for the design of this weapon, as all of the components are from the Extended Weapon Mods mod. This weapon is purely a cosmetic change and still functions in the same way as an SMG. The next weapon is the Flamer Rifle. This weapon is pretty self-explanatory. I used the laser as the basis, I added a fuel tank to the magazine, and I added a flamer nozzle to the front. This weapon does not use fuel as ammunition, instead it uses fusion cells. It does a decent amount of damage and still ignites the enemy. The only downside is the excessive recoil, which is still controllable and makes the weapon a little bit more difficult to use than it needs to be. The next weapon is the Overcharged Musket. A standard laser musket can crank 6 times with the maximum upgrade, however this one can crank 12. By adding a Gauss rifle capacitor boosting cell, or the highest rank of flamer tank, you can double the capacity. This makes the weapon much more powerful than its standard counterpart. This is my boomstick. This uses the extended weapon mod's mod Super Barrel, which fires both of the shells at the same time. I then added the explosive proc with the legendary mods and a Zeta conversion in order to make the weapon even more powerful. The final result is a weapon that packs a lot of punch and will knock over an enemy regardless of the size of it, if it doesn't kill it outright. The next couple of weapons in the video all revolve around the idea of the requests to make things like death rays and anything that uses the deep dish from the gamma gun. So the next weapon today is the Concussion Gun. The Concussion Gun is a pistol that uses the Lorenzo artifact and as many ways as possible to turn it into a form of shotgun pistol. The result is a weapon that can knock enemies around, knock corpses around, and is very powerful. Next we have the Heat Ray. The Heat Ray is based on the concept of just disintegrating an enemy without any form of projectile whatsoever. Even though I added the WMX conversion of the Liberty Prime laser, the effect of it did not occur due to the silencer, which I also placed to remove the beam animation. However, the weapon is still pretty powerful and can kill a lot of enemies really easily.
Kill us all! Retreat!
Next, we have the Death Ray. The Death Ray quite possibly might be my most powerful creation that I've ever created. I've created some weapons which have a lot of nukes firing and so on. However, this is a Liberty Prime shotgun with limited recoil and very fast fire rate with a high ammo capacity. This weapon can take down a lot of enemies very quickly, and pretty much anybody that is stood in front of the gun will die, regardless of how strong that enemy is. And now we come to the final weapon of today. This weapon is called D.E.D. 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 is based on the Death Ray that was previously shown, but has been made fully automatic. I personally prefer the Death Ray, as this gun has a lot more recoil than the Death Ray, but it is equally as devastating. If you wanted, you could convert this weapon into some form of rifle to try and stabilize the recoil. Now that was the last weapon of the video, and I hope you enjoyed these designs. Leave suggestions in the comments for viewer suggestion videos as always, and before I go I'm going to leave a video clip of the Death Ray versus 600 feral ghouls. You have to bear in mind that this is very intensive on a system, so the footage is a bit slow, but you can kind of see the devastation of the Death Ray. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.